He's just like, I just don't understand you humans sometimes. You just, for whatever reason, you just don't seem to appreciate the things I do for you. I've done so many things. Everything I've done has been for you. I've given you these amazing powers. I've granted your wishes. You know, Kyosuke, he's healed, and yet you're just yelling at me. And I don't want you to get hurt. That's why I'm doing this to you, Sayaka. That's why I'm showing you this right now. I'm having you experience this so you understand, okay? So what do you say to me? What do you say to me, Sayaka? Thank you! And he takes his paw off the thing. He says, see? That wasn't hard. You're welcome. I'm just like, you little fucking asshole. I was like, oh, I knew it. He's got to end. So Hummer, and it just puts everything in perspective now. Let's go ahead and move on to my review for Madoka Magica episode 7. So, to give you a brief recap of the previous episode, chat, Sayaka, she's been adamant about trying to be the best magical girl that she can be, but she has run into a rival magic girl, Kyoko, who apparently wants to encroach on her territory and doesn't really care about people. Like, the only thing that she wants to do is get more grief seeds to increase her power to be able to do what she wants. Sayaka, she's like, I ain't about all that. I want to help people no matter what. And the two get into conflict, obviously, in the last episode, and I guess they're going to have a bit of a throwdown. Madoka, who is still undecided about being a magical girl. You know, she's asked for the help of Homura. Homura, again, her good thing is like, I'm not going to help. I'm going to be uninvolved. And then, you know, by the end of the episode, she always gets involved and helps. In any case, Madoka is still very concerned. And before Kyoko and Sayaka throw down above this highway, she intervenes, grabs the soul gem of Sayaka and throws it off this overpass into the bed of this truck, and it kills Sayaka. She just stops moving. You know, she's not breathing. This freaks Kyoko out. Homura's also freaked out. She goes and retrieves the soul gem. Everyone's asking Kyubey what the hell happened. Kyubey's like, oh, yeah, I guess I never mentioned this. So, when you make a contract with me, I take your soul, I take everything that is you, and I put it into the gem. And so your body, that's just like a husk. You're basically a walking, talking zombie at that point. Everyone freaks the fuck out because they had no idea about this. Homura eventually, and if you're separated from your soul gem a great distance, so in the case of this particular moment, I think they say if it's 100 meters and more, then you just drop dead. But if you reunite with your soul gem, then you're like, oh, you come back alive, right? And so Homura, she gets the truck, she takes the soul gem, she comes back, and you know, Sayaka, she wakes up, she's like, what the hell happened? And like, no one says anything. They all just stare at Kyubey, who just has those beady red eyes and a little smile of his. And it pretty much picks up, I don't know, maybe like an hour after the events of the previous episode, and we're following Sayaka. She goes home, she goes into her room, and she is furious. She is irate. You know, Kyubey's with her, and she confronts Kyubey, and she's like, why didn't you tell me about this? Why didn't you tell me that you were literally putting my own soul into this thing, and that my body, it's not even me anymore? And Kyubey, I did audio commentary for this episode, and anytime Kyubey showed up, I either called him a little prick or an asshole. And after she just says, how could you do this? Why didn't you tell me? Why didn't you tell anyone about this? All these other magical girls. And Kyubey, he again, not fazed, staring at her with his beady red eyes, that little kind of half smile on his face, just, the whole time he says, well, you never asked. And she's like, what the fuck? Why would I ask something like that? He's like, I mean, I didn't think it's necessarily important to tell you guys that. About the process of being a magic girl. It's details. All that matters is that you got your wish, you're happy with your wish, you have these powers, you hunt down witches. That's all you need to know. And, you know, I'll go ahead and explain this to you. Sayaka, since you seem to be just so concerned about this, I don't really understand it. I don't know why your humans are all up in arms about having your soul place in an inanimate object. He's like, let me explain it. I remove your soul from your body, your very essence, your sweet essence, from your corporeal form, so your body can survive all these horrific encounters with all these familiars and witches and whatever other monstrosities exist out there. Okay? That's what I do. That's part of the contract, okay? And so once I remove your very essence and your soul and put it in that container, your body, your meat bag, if you will, can take as much abuse as possible. It can be sliced, it can be diced, it can be torn apart, it could be strangled, it could be drowned, and you would live as long as your soul gem survives, okay? You know what? And so instead of yelling at me, Sayaka, instead of berating me, what you should be saying is, thank you, Kyubey. And then I would say in kind, you're welcome. And she fucking loses it. She's like, you're lying. You're lying by withholding this information. You've been abusing us this entire time. You're a monster. And Kyubey is just like, before you say anything else, let me just show what would happen to you if I didn't do what I did. And he hops up on the table because Sayaka, she throws down her soul gem, and he like watches it, and it rolls across the desk, and he hops up there, and he places his little puppy cat paw. He's a little demon puppy cat shape. He puts his little paw on there, and it starts glowing. He's just like, for example, Sayaka, you took all that abuse from Kyoko and your battle with her and everything. You're being sliced and diced. But what if her spear actually pierced your body? What if it went through all of that meat, that tissue, that cartilage, that bone, went all the way through your back? Do you know what that would feel like? And Sayaka's like, I think it would hurt. He's like, yeah, it would hurt. Just like this. And he presses down the soul gem, and she's like, ah! And she's on the floor, writhing in pain, crying. And Kyubey, with just not even like really looking at her, he's just kind of like looking, because sometimes I don't think he's really looking at them. He's just kind of staring in the middle distance. He's just like, I just don't understand. You humans sometimes, you just, for whatever reason, you just don't seem to appreciate the things I do for you. I've done so many things. Everything I've done has been for you. I've given you these amazing powers. I've granted your wishes. Kyosuke, he's healed, and yet you're just yelling at me. And I don't want you to get hurt. That's why I'm doing this to you, Sayaka. That's why I'm showing you this right now. I'm having you experience this so you understand, okay? So what do you say to me? What do you say to me, Sayaka? Thank you! And he takes his paw off the thing. He says, see? That wasn't hard. You're welcome. I'm just like, you little fucking asshole. I was like, oh, I knew it. He's got to end. So Hummer, and it just puts everything in perspective now with this episode. Why Hummer was adamant about, I got to kill this fucker. I got to find him and kill him. And again, we don't know what he is initially. He's this cute little puppy cat thing. And so when Madoka intervenes and saves him, right? And then mommy comes in there and stops her as well. You're like, oh, you're on their side. And he's just like, yeah, I don't know why she's doing these things to me. It's horrible. But now you get it. Because Hamura knows the horrible things that happen to magic girls once they make a contract with him, right? Or just, all these people in general. And she just wanted to straight up prevent it from happening, and all these young women just ruining their lives because they just don't know, because Kyubey does not care. Clearly. And he may say otherwise, but he's extremely manipulative. He's a liar, and he withholds very, very important information. But that whole opening of the episode was like, fuck. This guy's got to go. This guy needs to end. He needs to end. But we cut from that, and it's because that was in the evening, and it's later in the morning, and Sayaka's very depressed, because seemingly she's not even human anymore, and she's just in bed. And eventually we cut to the school, and she's not on her desk, and Madoka's obviously very worried. And then eventually Madoka, she goes to Homura, who's also in the class. She's like, can I talk to you? And they go and they talk outside, and Madoka's just like, okay, what happened yesterday was crazy. But I got to ask, first of all, why wouldn't Kyubey share that information with us? And why didn't you? And Homura, I have to, because when I was watching this episode, I was like, all right, Homura, you got to explain yourself too, because I think you should have dropped this information. And she said, first of all, Kyubey is not human. He's never been human. I've been trying to tell you guys that, which he has. She's like, he's not human, and he doesn't really care. All right. His whole thing is he wants to make contracts and make magical girls. All right. That's his end game. Anything else, I don't know. And she, again, I'm like, okay, I'll give you a little leeway. She's like, if I told you that, would you have believed me? After everything that's happened. And to be fair, Madoka goes like, yeah, you're right. And I think so too. If she did say that, and just, how certain characters perceive her, whether it be Sayaka and, has always been aggressive towards Homura. And we'll talk about Sayaka because she has a lot of issues this episode. Madoka's incredibly indecisive. And Kyoko, no one, pretty much trusts Kyoko at this point. And so it's like, yeah, I mean, I can understand where even if Homura did tell them your soul is like, and Mommy didn't even know. Mommy didn't even know about it either. And she's like, if I'm the only one that's telling you this, would you have believed me? And honestly, they probably wouldn't have. So it's like, yeah, fuck, that's fair. And Kyubey just has all this power. You just don't realize how much power he has over all these young women. It's really fucking disturbing, which it makes it very compelling and interesting. And she's like, I'm sorry it happened this way, but it has. Okay? And this is Homura speaking. And she's like, listen, I hate to repeat this again to you, but that's why you should forget about Sayaka. All right? She's not human anymore. She's like me. I'm not human anymore either. We've made our choices, and we have to live with them now. Okay, Madoka? And Madoka's like, oh my God. And she, starts crying and shit because she's so confused and scared about the situation. Eventually, we cut back to Sayaka, who is still in bed. But then she just hears this tapping on the window. She hears this tapping, like someone's throwing like little stones or pebbles at her window. And she goes over to the window, and she sees outside. She's like, what? And she opens the window, and it's Kyoko. It's Kyoko who's sitting up there. She's got this big old brown paper bag of apples, eating these red apples. She's like, hey, listen, I'm not here to fight you, okay? I come in peace. I just want to talk to you, okay? I just want to talk to you about last night, and I want to show you something. I just want to explain myself to you, okay? You can refuse me right now, and we'll just part. But if you have, some time, I just want to explain myself. And Sayaka's like, okay. And so we then follow Sayaka and Kyoko, and they go for this walk, and they're kind of going back and forth, and they're talking about, the previous night's events and just how crazy it was. And Kyoko's like, listen, I know we've had our differences lately, but I had no idea about that, okay? And I know you probably don't want to believe me, but I did not know that's what happens to us when we become magical girls, all right? And Sayaka's like, no, I believe you. And she's like, where are we going? She's like, I want to take you to the place that made me a magical girl. And Sayaka's like, okay. And so they go to, there's a lot, this show, I've noticed a certain aesthetic that keeps popping up in this show. It's a lot of Christian imagery. Whoever the creators of this show are, which I probably should look it up. I'm 7 episodes deep, and I don't even know the name of the main creator at this point, which they deserve respect, obviously, because what they're doing I think is pretty special and pretty cool. But they come to this abandoned church with all this broken stained glass window, Chad. For whatever reason, Chad, in Japan, there is always an abandoned Catholic church or Christian church or whatever with broken stained glass windows. They're just all over the place in Japan. And they step inside, and the whole church is like, it's dilapidated at this point. The stained glass is all broken. Also, just seeing all the kind of the broken, dismantled Christian images, kind of spooky. It's kind of spooky just look, right? Especially when you see in a country that you don't really think of like Christian imagery, and so it's like, oh, this is kind of weird, But I like it too because it's kind of unsettling. But they go inside, and she's like, "This was my dad's church. He was a minister here, and a lot of things happened to my father's ministry." And she's like, "But before I continue this conversation on, do you want an apple?" And she just throws the apple at Sayaka, and she takes the apple and she looks at it, and she just throws it behind her back. And fucking right when Kyoko is like about to continue her story, she freaks the fuck out. She's like, "Don't fucking throw that food!" And she goes, like, because the apple like rolled down the steps because they're like near the altar, and she goes and gets it, and she cleans it off, and she just starts eating it like a little gremlin. And I was like, "What the hell was that?" And Sayaka's like, "All right, I'm sorry, I just didn't want your apple." And she's like, "Never waste food again, okay? That's a very irresponsible thing to do. Never waste food." And she's like, "All right, Jesus, I'm sorry, okay? I just wasn't hungry." And she's like, "Well, people are hungry all the time." And she starts eating it. And then she starts talking about her father's church. She's like, "My father was a Christian minister. He believed that religion could help solve people's problems. He believed it could help heal a community, a city, the world, an entire country. He thought it can do that. And he would always talk about all these different stories and passages in the Bible, and he would tell me and my little sister and my mother all these things in his congregation. But he saw all this horror happening, across the city and the country and just the world itself. And he started to think, well, maybe I should talk about other things. Maybe I should come up with my own ideas and philosophies based on religion." He started talking about all these different things in church, but these weren't passages. These weren't stories from the Bible, and people didn't like that. And people started leaving the church. And eventually they labeled him a pariah in the community. And no one would come to our church. And eventually we lost all this money, and there were periods where we were literally starving. We almost starved to death. I remember I was so incredibly hungry. It was like my stomach was eating me alive from the inside out. And then he arrived. And Sayaka's like, "Who?" She's like, "Kyubey. In my darkest hour, this little creature said he could help me. He can help my dad. He can help my mom. He can help my little sister and make everything better." He said, all I need to do is make a contract with him. But with that contract, I would get a wish, and I would get magical powers. And despite everything that happened, I believed my father was a good man, a great man, a loving man. And the one thing that I wished for was that people would start believing my father, that they would accept his words as truth. And like that, Kyubey granted my wish. And slowly but surely, so many people started to come to the church. Everyone started to accept my father's teachings. In a way, it almost became a cult. And eventually, he stopped talking about God altogether and Christianity altogether and became something else. And but people were happy. People were seemingly happy. My father was elated. I had never seen him so alive. We were able to live well. We were finally able to get food. But I had to be a magical girl. I had to do these things. I had to fight these familiars and these witches and these creatures. And I thought that was a good thing. I thought what I was doing was a good thing for the world, just like my father. I thought my father, in the light of the day, he was spreading his gospel, his truth to all these people, helping them. And in my own way, I was helping them too. I was protecting them. in the darkness of night, from things they didn't even know existed, things that they couldn't even imagine, these horrors that were preying upon them and their families and their husbands and their wives and their sons and their daughters and their brothers and sisters. I was doing that. And I thought my father and I were doing a great thing. But my father eventually learned what I was doing, what I was, and why he had this sway over so many people for so long. And he thought I was an abomination. He thought what I did was horrible. It was a sin. It was a horrible thing to do against the word of God. And he became abusive. He indulged in alcohol. He became a drunk. And he started to hurt me and hurt my mother and hurt my little sister. And then one day, after he drank so much, he wanted to kill himself. But not just himself. He wanted his whole family to pay for his daughter's sin. And so he got my mother and he got my sister and he killed them right here, right where we're standing. And his whole church came burning down, or most of it. This is all that's left of it. And I was left with nothing. My wish, my choice brought about all this destruction, the death of my entire family. But that's when I understood that being a magical girl, it isn't about trying to save the world. It isn't about trying to make the world a better place. It's about you. It's about us. It's about using this power to get what we want. Because anytime we try to help other people, they're going to let us down. Or at worst, destroy everything that we love. And I'm telling you right now, Sayaka, that your wish could potentially do that. I know you have feelings for Kyosuke, all right, but it's going to go bad. And so you need to start doing this, not for him, not for Madoka, not for Kyubey, whoever else. Do it for you. That's what you need to do it for. And, you know, first of all, I was like, holy shit. And Sayaka, she's absorbing all this, and she's like, listen, I appreciate you telling me all of this, and I understand your perspective, but I don't want to live that type of existence. I don't want to just live for myself. I want to live for other people. So thank you. I'm going to go my own path. I mean, if you want to hurt me, if you want to try to kill me, you can, but you're not going to stop me. Because I'm going to fight you too. And she just leaves. And Kyoko is just like, you're an idiot. You're a fucking fool. Just don't do it. Live for yourself. She starts eating the apples like a maniac. She has also, she has like really, like negative views on food and her own just, history of abuse. Like it's all connected. That's why she's like always eating something, because she's remembering when she was starving all those years ago, and also her father's abuse, and also his murder-suicide of her mother and sister and himself. So it's like, Jesus Christ. And it's like, wow, big revelation. And the animation, they do this kind of like finger puppets with them all too. It's very, very cool, very cool. Like puppets on sticks. But eventually it's the next day. Sayaka, she's walking to school, and eventually Hitomi and Madoka, in the meetup, she's like, hey, Sayaka, how's everything going? She like plays it off. She's like, I just wasn't feeling all that well. Just wanted to, I just needed a break, and Madoka, she like telepathically communicates her because, they can do that. And she's like, are you okay? And she's like, yeah, I'm fine. Everything's fine. I was sick. And as they're walking to school, she notices that Kyosuke is also, he's going to school now too. Even he's the guy that was the violinist recently. He was cured of his ailment because his arm was, paralyzed in some places. He wouldn't be able to play, but because of Sayaka's wish, he's now He's now cured. He still has a bit of a limp, so is apparently like her wish. She's like, cure his arm, heal his arm, but apparently not his legs, and so he has to use like these crutches now to get around. But she sees him, and Madoka is just like, oh, do you want to go talk to Kyosuke? And she's like, no, it's okay, because she's like freaking out about everything that Kyoko like told her earlier, and she's a little scared. But Hitomi's also talking, notices Kyosuke too. And, they kind of go about their daily, school routine. Eventually, Hitomi, she asks, Sayaka, can I talk to you during lunch if that's okay? We can get lunch together. And she's like, yeah, sure. And they go ahead and they get lunch. And, Sayaka's just like, Hitomi, so what's up? What's wrong? And she's like, so I just want to kind of clear the air with you. I know that you and Kyosuke have been friends for a very long time. I didn't even know this either. They didn't really go into this yet. But apparently, Sayaka and Kyosuke have been friends for like years, since they were like little kids. And that's why she's like been at his side for like all this time. And she's like, I know you've been his friend for a while, and that you've helped him out recently with everything with his injury and going to the hospital and stuff. And I'll just come out with it. I'm in love with the guy. I love him, and I want to tell him that. But I know that you've been with him forever. And I just, if I were to, I just want to know. I don't want to intrude on anything, or if you have a relationship. Are you in love? She just says, like, are you in love with him? Do you love him? And I don't want to get in between that, but I want to ask him out, and I want to go on a date with him, but I want to come between you guys. And Sayaka is just well, and she doesn't know. She doesn't know what to say, and she's like, I don't mean to like. Clearly she does if she can't even answer. So it's like at that point, Hitomi's kind of a piece of shit. I've noticed that. But she's like, listen, and she kind of gives her an ultimatum. She's like, she gives him like a timetable, and she says, all right, I'll give you till tomorrow to tell me, but if you don't tell me like within 24 hours, I'm just gonna ask him out. Okay? I hope that does that isn't bad, or that'll come between us. And she's like super awkward about it. And Sayaka's like, yeah, sounds good. And so then Hitomi leaves at this point. And Sayaka's not handling that well. And she's constantly thinking like, she definitely has self-confidence issues. Because she doesn't even view herself as human anymore. And she's like, I don't even deserve someone as wonderful, as amazing as Kyosuke, who I'm kind of perturbed by, because he didn't go out of his way to like say hello to her earlier in the day. It's like this, like none of his fucking friends, as far as I know, visited him at the hospital. I didn't see any of his goddamn friends there. And he's hanging out with all his friends. He's like, hey dude, hey bro, how's the arm? He's like, I'm fucking great, man. I can play that violin like no one's business. Yeah, that's awesome, dude. And they're in the same fucking talk to her. She was with you the whole time. I was like, this guy's a piece of shit. Kyosuke is an asshole, Edgy Berserker. Welcome, by the way. Hope you're doing well. He's an asshole. And Sayaka, again, she has self-esteem issues. She has no confidence. She puts on this front, and it's just on full display now. Plus, she thinks she's not even human anymore, based on the reveal from Kyubey. And so all this is running through her mind. And eventually Kyubey, she's not even acknowledging Kyubey. Like, he's with her all the time, but he's not even acknowledging his presence, because she's just probably, she hates him, despises him, but she's also afraid of him now, too, which I would be as well. But she's leaving the apartment. Kyubey's behind her. And in Madoka, she's right outside the apartment. She's like, hey, are you okay? And Sayaka's like, yeah, everything's great. Yeah, everything's really cool. And she's like, okay, well, I just wanted to, join you on your patrol tonight if that's okay. And again, it's Sayaka, like, you're my best friend. So if there's like anything that's on your mind, like, please tell me. And Sayaka's just looking at her, and she's like, and she just starts crying. She immediately starts breaking down about everything. And she just grabs on Madoka and just starts bawling, and is like, I don't know what to do anymore. I didn't know it would be like this. I didn't know that I wouldn't even be me. I'm a monster. It's like, this is not even my body. It's not my body. And then she goes in this whole spiel about Kyosuke. She's like, I love him. I loved him. But if I were to ever try to kiss him or hug him, that wouldn't even be me. He'd be hugging a monster. And Madoka's just like, honey, please. And she just, and Kyubey's just waiting. He's just like, he's like looking at shit. You know, he's like, oh, it's a bug. It's a firefly. And they cut the grass today. He doesn't give a fuck. I'm like, God, I hate him, but I love him. He is like one of the greatest anime villains that I've seen in a long while. God, what a piece of shit. But Madoka is just trying her best to, calm her down. She's saying like, but I love you, and a friend, like you're my friend. It's like, don't say these things. That's not true, okay? And eventually, she does calm down. Sayaka, she kind of, collects herself, but she's like, okay, I just need to tell someone that. And Madoka's like, I don't think you should go out and patrol. And Kyubey's like, no, she needs to do that. It's like, shut the fuck up, Kyubey. That's what I would have said. Shut the fuck up. Get the fuck out of here. And Sayaka's like, no, I want to do this, and I want you to be there with me. I don't want you to be a magical girl, but having you there with me, knowing someone cares, I think is great. And so they continue on with the patrol. Eventually, and they do find a witch. And we see it from a bird's eye view. This labyrinth that is like, it's completely encased in this like blue dome, with veins, and it's like lightning's cracking against it. And Kyoko's watching it. Kyoko's sitting on this like half-finished skyscraper that's being built, and she's watching it. She's eating the snack. And Homura arrives, and she's like, "I'm surprised to see you here." And Kyoko's like, I know. All right, I don't need to hear it from you. All right, listen, I talked to Sayaka. I told her my life story, yada, 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 okay? And I'm just making sure the situation doesn't get worse, all right? And, Homura is just like, same. Homura says, I'm not going to interfere. I'm not going to get involved, but they're always going to be there anyway, which probably shows how good they are at heart. And, but as they're watching, they notice that the dome is like wavering. It's doing like weird things, and Kyoko's like, "This ain't going well. I got to go down there and check what's going on." And then we cut, and this is beautiful. This is some of my favorite animation so far in the show. It's all monochromatic for the most part. Inside the dome, it's all monochromatic, and it's very shadowy. It's just white and black. And we see, like, Madoka and Kyubey in the background as they're watching Sayaka fight this witch. The witch is interesting. It takes on two different forms. Initially, it's this black tree with this red, like, diamond in the middle, which Sayaka attacks. And then it takes the form of this young girl or woman who is, like, kneeling on the ground. And as Sayaka is going in for the kill, suddenly, these giant branches burst out of the weird shadow kneeling woman's back and attack Sayaka. It looks like, I thought she's like dying. I was like, holy shit! It goes, and she gets attacked by it, starts scratching and like literally like puncturing her body, like stabbing her all the way through. And this thing is then about just to crush her, or just to skewer her and then rip her entire body apart. But then Kyoko comes down there and she intervenes, and Homura is there too, but she's standing with Madoka. It's like, I'm here just as backup. And Kyoko is like, hey, listen, I said I know I wouldn't intervene and stuff, but I'm here to help you. I'm here to help. So let's take this thing down together. And Sayaka, she gets up and she's like, I don't need your help. I can do this on my own. I don't need anyone else. Okay? And Kyoko's like, just let me help you. And she's like, no. And she like charges forward. She's like, I don't need anyone. I don't need anyone's love. It doesn't even matter. I can't even feel anything anymore. I can't feel any of this as the entity, as the witch attacks her again. And as all these like black branches and tendrils, they all start piercing through her body, and she just starts manically laughing. Just I can't feel any of it. No, I can't feel nothing. I can't feel nothing. And she just cuts the witch's head off. She just slices it as all these tendrils are just puncturing her body. And eventually, like, a grief seed is produced, and she grabs that shit. And that, my friends, is my scene by scene by scene by scene breakdown to Madoka Magica, episode 7. Great fucking episode. Really good episode. A lot of reveals for obviously more of the lore and stuff. Again, Kyubey is just a villain. He's a goddamn villain at this point. And we're just seeing these characters, obviously expanding on their personalities and their origin stories. It was great learning about Kyoko today. But just Sayaka is just like, oh my God. I already knew something was up with her, just how she talked about herself and how she spoke. And I was like, this girl has a lot of self-confidence issues. And this is not helping. Now she's like, I'm not even human. That's not good. That's not a healthy mindset. And she might be going crazy. So, yeah, it just keeps asking. And Kyubey, god damn, that opening too, where it just starts hurting her. And he knows, they'd say, like, he doesn't really know what he's doing. It's like, he knows what he's doing. He's being cheeky, I think. He's being very cheeky. You're welcome. Oh, Lord. But yeah, Chad, I hope you enjoyed my review for Madoka Magica episode 7. Might be going crazy. Oh, things just going to keep getting better for Sayaka. Just you wait. Oh, no. Also, let me go ahead and thank some people here. Edgy Berserker Kevin. Thank you so much, Ezzy. Thank you, Edgy, for rating. Thank you, Witness Me. Thank you, Edgy. What were you playing? What was on your docket today? Also, huge thank you to Show for the 100 biddies and Dat Chicken Wing for the 500 biddies. Shit's about to go down next week. Oh, shit. Oh, man. I'm loving it, though. It's been great. Yeah, this has been really, this ain't no Sailor Moon. This ain't Sailor Moon. If you, I'll tell you this. If you love Sailor Moon, I think you'll love this because it's kind of like it's a deconstructive take on that subgenre of anime, if you will, right? The magical girl. I would also suggest if you don't like Sailor Moon, but you like anime, I think you might like this too because it's a deconstructive take on this subgenre. It's very interesting. Very interesting. I did not expect it to get as dark as it is. I should have known, though, because it's Isaac. Isaac always suggests anime that is, like, really dark and fucked up. It has twists and turns, which makes it entertaining for me. And hopefully for you guys, too. So, very fun. So, thank you again, Dat Chicken Wang, Isaac Stevenson. Thank you for the 500 biddies. I'm excited, though. This is my favorite episode yet. And it's been getting better and better and better and better and better. But now, like, I recommend this show. It's available on multiple platforms. It's available on Crunchyroll. If you have Crunchyroll, it's available on Amazon Prime. I think it's available on it might be on Tubi. Hold on, let me check. So if you don't want to pay for all that stuff, and you can find it on other things. Hulu, it's on Hulu. Hulu, Amazon Prime, Crunchyroll. I think you can, and I'm sure there's other sources, other platforms you can find it on too. I recommend it. Oh, Lord. I finished my Battle Royale run of Fear and Hunger 2. Oh, nice. One arm crew did it. Yay! Nice. Luna had guilt for having them become Magic Girls. Kyubey. Yeah, he doesn't give a shit. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, because Luna, she was like, she actually cared. Kyubey could care less, and he's getting mean now, and he's probably playing off as like, I just don't really understand you humans, but it's like I think he knows what he's doing. He's not. God, I hope he gets killed. Someone's got to kill him. Now you totally get it. You totally understand why Herman was trying to kill him in the first episode, and he should have died. He really should have. Oy, oy, oy. But yeah, highly recommend it, chat. And I'll be doing another anime review, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, later this week as well. Probably tomorrow. Tomorrow might be the best day if I am going to do my biddy-thon, subathon, donation-a-thon, whatever you want to call it, special stream on Friday. So, JoJo tomorrow. So I hope you guys have been enjoying the anime reviews. They've been fun for me, too.